Hey, it's Erica. Welcome back to my channel. It is time for me to do an update on all of my series reading that I've done in the past like 6 months or so. My last update I think was sometime in September, and so now I feel it's been an appropriate amount of time to kind of check in, see where I'm at. I started off having a, for me, crazy number of series where that I was in the middle of. I felt like I just wasn't really making progress in getting through them, and for me, I tend to like lose a lot of the details if I go a long period of time without reading a book in a series. And so then that leads into, well, now I've got to make time for rereads and all of these things where I finally decided, you know what, it is time to get my series down to a manageable number. For me, a manageable number would probably be tentatively maybe around five series, and that would be series where I'm caught up on the books that are published in the series, and it's just like 5 series that I'm actively in the middle of. There's books that I could be reading in this series but I just haven't. Also, I started, I think at about like low 30s when I started doing these series check-ins. Low 30s for number of series I was in the middle of and trying to read. So I've made tons of progress. I prioritized this last year, my series reading. I'm trying to limit the number of series that I start up. So I've really been focused on like driving down the number, like the books that are actually in series that I'm actively in the middle of. I've made a lot of progress in the last year and in the last 6 months since I did my last check-in. And I'm going to talk too about, I don't know, not so much a strategy, but just kind of like a decision I made as we talk about where I'm at in my series. Talk about a decision I made that has also helped to cut this way down, at least for the time being. So I'm going to put up a little graphic here and let's talk about where I was at when I finished the last video, the last check-in, which I believe it was in September. So pardon me as I look down. This is where my computer is. So the last time that we did the update, I was in the middle of 27 series. That's still a lot, but I had brought that down since the update before that. So I was in the middle of 27 series, and that included 119 books unread. So among all 27 of those series, there's 119 books unread that I still had to go just to get caught up on the series I'm in the middle of. And then I also had 5 series that I was basically caught up on. So series that are not finished, but that there's no more books currently published for me to read. There were 5 of those. So now we'll talk about kind of what have I done? What have I done in the last, like, I don't know, 6 months or 5 months. Math is hard, man. Let's call it about 6 months. I did add 7 series to my series reading list. I added The Faithful and the Fallen by John Gwynne, The Drowning Empire by Andrea Stewart, started the Murderbot series by Martha Wells. That was overdue. Shadow of the Leviathan by Robert Jackson Bennett, Hierarchy by James Islington, and The Evertide by Todd Lockwood. Now, while I added 7 series, some of those I caught up on as well. So even though I just added those, there's a number of them that I immediately like caught up on. Let's talk about the ones I've caught up on. I caught up on 7 series too. So Shadow of the Leviathan by Robert Jackson Bennett. I loved this series, Tainted Cup and Drop of Corruption. I know the next book is coming out, I think maybe in August, but for right now, I am caught up. I I think he's doing at least 4 books in this series. I don't know if it's going to go longer than that, but I'm loving it so far, and I'm really glad that I finally started this one. But I did catch up on it, so didn't actually, at the end of the day, didn't end up increasing the number of series that I'm in the middle of. Hierarchy by James Islington. I read both The Will of the Many and The Strength of the Few. Again, I think that this is also going to be a series with 4 books if what I've heard is accurate. But as of right now, I'm caught up. There's no word, I don't think right now, as to when the 3rd book is coming out. Maybe sometime next year. But for the time being, I'm safe. I'm caught up. I really enjoyed these 2 books too. So I got no regrets about starting this series up in the middle of my trying to limit my series reading. The Evertide by Todd Lockwood. Oh god, I am going to be talking about this in my wrap up that I do, which you'll see, I don't know, sometime probably in a couple weeks on my channel. I read The Evertide here in February, or I'm sorry, I read The Summer Dragon. I had to think about the name of it. It's the first book in a trilogy, and god, I really want this man to finish out this series. I think this book came out in like 2016. I'll talk more about it, but I really had a great time. But this is like a 10-year-old book, and as of right now, I'm caught up because unfortunately the sequel is not out. Dungeon Crawler Carl by Matt Dinniman. If you have watched any other videos on my channel from like the last, 6 months, you'll know that I am now part of this cult of Dungeon Crawler Carl. That means that I must talk about it with like everyone that I end up having a conversation with, whether, you know, we have a relationship, like any kind of personal relationship you're in my life, or if you're just some random person I happen to come across, I am now compelled to talk to you about Dungeon Crawler Carl. So I am caught up on Dungeon Crawler Carl. The 8th book is coming out in May. I have already pre-ordered it, but for right now I am caught up on Dungeon Crawler Carl. Percy Jackson by Rick Riordan. Okay, so I read Percy Jackson and the Olympians, finished that. Now I'm reading Percy Jackson, The Senior Years. I have learned that I guess there's like a series that's between these 2. I'll be honest, I don't foresee myself reading that because I'm on the fence as to whether I'm going to DNF this series or not as it is. I don't know that going into that in-between series is going to like change my mind, because right now I'm kind of leaning towards DNFing the series altogether. So I haven't decided. As of right now, I probably won't read that middle series, which I am not even entirely sure what the middle series is called, but apparently there's like a joining series between these 2. But anyway, I am caught up on The Senior Years. The Lamplight Murder Mysteries by Morgan Stang. I love this series too. This is yet another murder mystery in a fantasy setting series. I am completely caught up on this. I don't know if there's going to be more books in this series, but I imagine that there are. It's the world that's been built, and the dynamic between our 2 main characters is so good, and the premise is going to allow for so many story opportunities. I just can't imagine that we're not going to get more of these, but I don't know. I haven't seen anything announced for the next book in this series. Finally, I did catch up on Ernest Cunningham, the Ernest Cunningham series by Benjamin Stevenson. This is just a straight up murder mystery series. There is another book coming out, actually, I think maybe like right now. I think it might be coming out like right now. I'm gonna be borrowing it from my library when it is out. I have a little notification request sent so that they tell me when they get it so I can get in line. But they don't even have it like for a waitlist option yet, so I don't know exactly when it's coming out. It should be imminent though, I believe. I've really enjoyed this series. It's a murder mystery series that takes place in Australia, and our main character kind of keeps just like finding himself in the middle of a murder mystery. He's not like a detective or anything, but he just kind of ends up being the person who has to solve these murder mysteries. They're a lot of fun. It's very meta. He solves it in a way that's like classic detective fiction. And so I have a great time reading these. I was really excited to see another one is coming out. And so I will be reading that sometime this year too. So you can kind of see the numbers balance out a little bit, and I've made progress too. And again, I'm going to talk more about a decision that I made that helped me to cut my final numbers way down, because you're gonna see that too. But like, I did add 7 series, but like out of those 7 series, I caught up on like immediately on 3 of them. Man, I keep counting 7, and yet I've only listed 6. Let me see if I can find my missing series. Hold on. I know what my missing series is. Okay, the one that I failed to mention before is Mistborn Era 2, of course, by Mr. Brandon Sanderson. I think that I keep not adding this or like not counting it because I'm in the middle of the Cosmere, which is like a crazy number of books and stories to read. I think it's like 40, and I'm right in the middle of it. It's kind of being broken down into like different segments, but not entirely. Like the reading order that I'm going in jumps around a little bit. For example, I've read the first 2 books in the Stormlight Archive, but now I'm reading Mistborn Era 2, and I don't think I'm going back to the Stormlight Archive until sometime like late this year, because I'm reading or I'm trying to read like 1 installment in the Cosmere every month. So I'm kind of counting Mr. Brandon Sanderson, but kind of not counting it too. I didn't really add this because I was already in the middle of the Cosmere. So it is being counted though as one of the series that I'm in the middle of. So I'm trying to be, I don't know, consistent or think about the series numbers in a way that makes sense to me. So I guess full transparency, I think that's why I didn't add it to this list to begin with, is because I'm already in the middle of the Cosmere. So I don't know that I really added to my series because I was already in the middle of it, but whatever, let's say that I did. All right. There were 3 series though that I did completely finish, meaning as far as I know, like I'm not aware of solid sequel plans at this point, where if there were no other books that came out in like any of these worlds, things have wrapped up adequately. So the first one was The Cemeteries of Amalo by Catherine Addison. This is a series that includes books like The Goblin King and Witness for the Dead. This is a 5-star series for me. I am blown away after finishing this series with just how much I connected to this world and the characters that the authors created. I desperately hope there's going to be more books in this series, but I haven't heard about it. So that's why I'm including this in series that I have finished and not just series that I'm caught up on. So I'm not I could see there being more books in this series, but if there's not, it also, like, it did end in a way that wrapped up plot points, so time will tell. I personally hope she does write more in this series, but if she doesn't, she did wrap everything up in a way that makes sense. I finished The World of the First Law by Joe Abercrombie. This is I worked on this last year and I got through it. So I am completely done with The World of the First Law. I am keeping this in the finished category, again, not the caught up category, because while I've heard whisperings that he's interested in writing more books in The World of the First Law, I haven't seen solid like plan or publishing news or things like that. So at this time, it's going in my finished series. I loved it. Again, I think another five-star series for me. It was so enjoyable. Such a different tone from Catherine Addison's series, but I just absolutely loved it. Legends and Lattes by Travis Baldree. I finally finished, and it took me, I don't know, 6 weeks. It took me a while to finish the third book, Brigands and Bread Knives, but like I mentioned in my last reading update, no fault of this author. I actually really enjoyed that he took it into like an on-the-road adventure story rather than I really enjoyed Legends and Lattes. I really enjoyed Bookshops and Bone Dust. They were, you know, they took place in like a limited setting and much more relaxed kind of plot. This one took place like I said, on the road. We're following what in Brigands and Bread Knives, or not Brigands, this was Brigands Bread Knives, in Bookshops and Bone Dust. Man, I love alliteration, but let me tell you, when you try to do a video and say book titles that are just a bunch of alliteration, a little tongue-tied. So I really liked, there was a character in Bookshops and Bone Dust, and is a side character. That side character is like the main character in this book, Brigands and Bread Knives, and so that's who we follow in this book. Like Viv, our main orc character from the first two books, she is in this book, but very limitedly. The main character is absolutely like what was previously a side character, and we follow her as she's like off on an adventure. It was really fun. Again, I don't know if this author has more books planned in this series. I hope so, because they're just it's a nice refreshing change of pace. Like there was violence in this last one and some stakes, but I mean, when you compare it to something like The First Law by Joe Abercrombie, very chill series. I really enjoyed it, and I hope Mr. Travis Baldree writes more books in this series, because I will read them. There was only one series that I decided to do a true DNF of. Before I guess mention that one, let me talk about a decision that I made that's going to end up cutting down my series like significantly when I do my final series count. So as I was looking at my series list, you know, over the past 6 months, and I'm trying to decide which series to focus on, what do I want to like chisel away at, I realized there were some series in there where if I wanted to continue reading them, I was gonna want to go back and reread the first book anyway. There's series where I'd like only read one book in the series, but I knew in order to pick up the second one, I would need to do a reread. What I've done, instead of keeping them on my in progress list, I've just moved them off, because essentially I know when I do come back to them, I'm gonna have to start at the beginning again anyway. So to take some of that pressure off, self-imposed pressure off for my series reading, I've decided to just remove some series from the list entirely. Let me count how many I did that with. So there were only six where I actually like completely just swept them off the list, and I do want, like, I like them enough where I know I'm not doing an actual DNF where I'm like, nah, I'm not coming back to this. This is just I'm taking them off the in progress list, because when I do continue with them, I'm gonna need to reread the book anyway. So 6 series off the list. And so yeah, that helped too, but not that many. It's not like I took half of my series list and like brushed it away. But I wanted to kind of make that distinction because now I wanted to mention the one series that I did decide to do a true DNF with, and I feel like it's important to clarify how I'm kind of gauging the DNFs with this. So the one series in the past I don't know, 6 months or whatever that I did decide a true DNF. This was very unfortunate because I really loved the first book. It's the Wayfarer series by Becky Chambers. I loved the first book, The Long Way to a Small Angry Planet. I loved it. I need to get a new copy of it because the one that I had like a bunch of pages missing. Well, maybe not a bunch. I think it had like, I don't know, like 40 missing pages in the middle of it. So I need to, it was like a publishing error. I need to get, I'm planning to get like a nice copy of it if I can, you know, find a nice copy at some point. Loved it, still love it. The second book is, I think it's an unfortunate timing situation as to why I decided to DNF it. So the first book, we follow the flight crew of a spaceship. They're going through space doing flight stuff. It's a very nice, like, found family kind of not lighthearted necessarily, but lowish stake adventure through space. And you see like the crewmates, they genuinely care about each other, and it's just really nice to read through the first book and like see these sincere relationships developing among the ship's crew. The second book follows a couple of the characters, and I say a couple because even when I talked about this during one of my reading updates, disclaimer, I DNF'd the second book, maybe like 20% in or 25% in. I got a little ways in and then I DNF'd it. So it follows at least a couple characters because there was only a couple characters in it from the prior book at the point I DNF'd. And one of the characters that it follows is like an AI, and I had to DNF it because what is going on currently in the world, like socially and politically and economically, with this giant push for AI really concerns me. I guess that's the most polite way to put it. I don't want to sound like a crazy person conspiracy theorist here. I have concerns about like what is being pushed with AI at this point, and I think it was just a really unfortunate time for me to like try to read this book because the AI in this book specifically was like trying to imitate humans, and right now I just can't do it. I had to put it down, which is kind of weird because like I just started reading the Murderbot Diaries and I loved it, and the main character in that is like AI, but he's not trying to be human. So maybe that's the differentiator. I'm okay with Murderbot because he's not Murderbot is not trying to be human, where the like the character in the second book in the Wayfarers was like trying to be human. Anyway, look, that is my rationale. Is it rational? I don't know, but it is my feeling, and I may come back to it at some point because like I loved the first book so much. And I think I think I even said this in my reading update too, if I had read this second book, like even a couple years ago, I don't think that I would have had any issues with how the characters were being presented. I think it's mostly just unfortunate timing, like coinciding with other things that are going on in the world right now that like really concern me. And so I think so. For right now, this is a true DNF. I don't want to call it a soft DNF because for me that implies that I might come back to it, or I intend to come back to it. This one I don't intend to come back to, but I could see myself changing my mind about it at some point in the future, but I'm not gonna like lose sleep over it or wait for that day, I guess, if that makes sense. In total, since my last update, I have read 36 books in series, which is pretty darn good. Pretty darn good. My entire number of books that I read in 2025 was, I think, maybe like 100 or 110. So for 36 books in like from just basically the last quarter of last year up until like mid-February of this year. I did the cutoff mid-February. It is kind of closer to the end of February right now, but that's kind of where I cut it off. So for 36 books in that amount of time, I think is pretty darn good. And let me talk about now the stats for where I'm currently at. So as a reminder, my last update, I had 27 series in progress at the end of that update. I currently have 10 in progress, with my like long-term goal being five series in progress. So incredible amounts of, well, progress on this goal. I don't know when I'm gonna be getting down to the 5. I'm gonna keep chipping away, but I do have, I guess, I do have 74 unread books. So I had 119 unread books at the last update. I'm now down to 74, so chiseling away at that. There's 2 series that are the biggest driver of the unread books, and so they're really skewing this quite a lot. One of them is Flavia de Luce, and the other one is, God, I can never think of the name of it. Let me see. The Chronicles of St. Mary's. Chronicles of St. Mary's is the biggest offender for this. It's got like a stupid number of books in this series. So it's really driving, I don't know, at least a third of these unread books are coming from just that one series. I think probably more. If you're unfamiliar with the Chronicles of St. Mary's, it's historian time travelers. It's funny. So it's like this group of historians, and they have time travel capabilities. So they go to various places and time in history, and hijinks ensues. It is an enjoyable series. I'm not that far into it, but unfortunately there's a stupid number of books in the series that are driving the number of unread books that I have to go. And then I do have I had 5 series that were caught up at my last update. I now have 10 series that are caught up. So this is the like stat number I'm keeping track of now that I do want to go up, if anything, because it means that like I am getting current, and that's good. There's not a bunch of like lingering series out there. So that I am very happy with. Overall, I'm really happy with my progress. I have no idea when I'm gonna be able to get to my goal of like 5 series in progress, but I am getting there. In my next update, I do have some idea of where I'm probably gonna be. I plan to have finished The Last Unicorn series by Peter S. Beagle. I've only got 1 book to read in that, and I did recently get a deal on it as an ebook, so I'm going to wrap up that. And then The Faithful and the Fallen by John Gwynne, I should be done with because I've been reading 1 book a month. However, I'm planning to read through all of John Gwynne by the end of the year, so realistically, I'm just going to be replacing this series with a different John Gwynne series, for full transparency. Mistborn Era 2 by Brandon Sanderson. I plan to be done with this by the next time I update 2. But again, since I'm going through the Cosmere, I've still got I don't know, at least 20 to go. So even though I might be wrapping up this little sub-series, I've still got an absurd number of books in the Cosmere. And then The Drowning Empire by Andrea Stewart. So I recently started this because one of the things that I'm trying to do when I get books that come in each month, I'm trying to gauge if there's any that like I could start reading right away so that they don't just go and languish on my shelves and add to my backlist. So The Drowning Empire is the Broken Bindings subscription books for the first 3 months of the year. I am part of the fantasy subscriptions, so I got the first one, and I don't have possession of the second one yet, but I think it's on the way to me, so I'm going to be trying to read that, and then trying to read the third one when that gets here too. So if everything goes as planned, I should have those books done by the next update. Ooh, and as part of that, the Broken Binding subscription, I believe their next sub is going to be The Faithful and the Fallen by John Gwynne. So bonus, when I get them, they're not going to add to my TBR, and they're not going to be at that point series I'm in the middle of, because I should be done with it, ironically, by the time it gets here. By the next update, I expect to have finished a series by Martha Wells, but not Murderbot. The Rising World series by Martha Wells. This was initially supposed to be just a standalone. I believe it's The Witch King. I read it, I really enjoyed it, but then she was like, hey, let me just write a sequel, which is Queen Demon. I do have that from my library. I'm in the middle of it right now. I should be done with it pretty shortly. It's my priority reading for the moment. If I just do those and no other series reading, I should be down by 10 books for the next update. But I do plan, I will be getting by that point book 8, like for example in Dungeon Crawler Carl, that's going to be coming out, but I plan to read that basically right away. Gosh, there's a couple more that I've learned are coming. There's more books coming. Like I mentioned, in the Ernest Cunningham series, the next book is coming out like right now, which is Everyone in This Bank is a Thief. There's going to be another book in the Appeal series by Janice Hallett. I don't recall the name of it. I did pre-order it, so yeah, I really liked the Appeal and the Christmas Appeal, so I'm excited to read that as well. And so there's going to be a couple where I know that like they're going to add to my series reading, but ideally I'm going to get caught up right away too. So that's not too bad for an update. I'm really pleased with the progress that I've made, especially I think it was the right decision to just completely remove some series from the board altogether for this, like at this point, and just being like realistic with myself. I know that I don't like to go back in to a subsequent book in a series and struggle to recall what's been happening, and I want to be more comfortable with allowing myself the time to do rereads anyway. If I enjoyed it in the first place, I want to feel like I have my own permission to reread it anyway. So I think that was for sure the best decision. I don't know. I don't know how long it's going to take me to get down to 5, 'cause especially I'm looking at some of these series and I'm like, I don't know when I'm going to get to you. But I'm gonna do my best to focus on what I can, and that's it. Yeah, so that's where I'm at. When I put the numbers down, I feel way prouder of myself for doing this focus than I really thought about along the way. Like I know that I've been trying to focus on series reading, but when I look at what have I actually gotten through, makes me feel pretty good about being able to like set a goal like that and make progress towards it. It's okay if I'm not to where I'd ideally like to be. I see myself like making progress, and I know it informs my choices of, you know, I'm much more mindful now of what do I pick up, because I've got these competing goals, and so I'm trying to balance competing goals with each other, and it is a work in progress. But I think I'm satisfied at this point with how things are going. I plan to do an update sometime later this year, probably in about 6 months again. I think that's a realistic time to see where I'm at, and maybe I'll get down to 5 by the end of the year. Let me see. Possibly I'll be down to like 7, maybe. Like best case scenario, I could be down to 7. I'm not gonna hold myself to it because I can only do what I can do. But maybe my next one, I might be down to 7 series in progress. And that's all that I've got for you today. For real. Thank you so much for coming by. I always appreciate it. Please remember to like this video and subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you next time. Thanks.